Welcome everyone to another Goblins vs. Gnomes card reveal and review. Alright, so let's just jump right in this. We're going to talk about 3 new cards. They're all extremely impactful, so let's get on to it. Alright, so the Whirling Zap-O-Matic. It's 2 mana, it's 3/2, it's got Wind Fury. Wait a minute. Hold up. We're going to do a comparison real quick before we go on to this. Just because. Dust Devil. 1 mana. 3/1, Wind Fury, Overload 2. So this costs technically 3. This costs 2. So yes, I could get away and actually say that this is a power creep and almost eliminates Dust Devil completely as any kind of viability. Not like Dust Devil had any viability to begin with, because it died to several class hero powers, which, hey, guess what? This one doesn't. However, this still dies to like 1-drop spells, Arcane Shot, Holy Smite, Backstab, etc. Alright, so let's talk about this card. This card, you can coin it, play it turn 1. If your opponent doesn't have an answer for it, congratulations, you're going to hit them in the face. But if your opponent plays a minion on turn 1, coining this out turn 1 is not in your best advantage. You want to put this guy out when your opponent has nothing on the board. Plain and simple. It's the only time you're ever going to get value out of it, because pretty much at 1 mana there's a lot of things that they can do to kill this thing and get a benefit, i.e. Leper Gnome. But if they don't have anything, i.e. you're playing up against, let's say, a Paladin Control, congratulations, this guy just breaks Paladin Control in half. You're going to snowball them. Seriously, this could actually lead to a massive snowball turn 5 kill against like Paladins and other type of control decks. It's really disgusting. You take into account that Shamans have some really annoying and low drop cards that they can play behind this, like, oh, I don't know, Rock Biters and Flame Tongue Totems, and you're going to get an extreme amount of value. Just with Flame Tongue Totem, that's 10 damage. But with double Rock Biter, that's 18 damage. Alright, so it's actually quite an interesting card. In Arena, I would definitely take it, just because the likelihood of your opponent having a good opening hand in Arena versus a Constructed is... you have a better chance of getting more value in Arena out of this than in Constructed, personally. But in Constructed, I could definitely see this guy seeing play. Against aggro decks, his usefulness drops significantly, but against control decks, his value goes up greatly. So I like it. Alright, so the next card, the Snow Chugger. Initially, when this card was released, it was on a non-English site, so there was a little bit of a translation issue on the name. So, reading this off, Snow Chugger. 2 mana for 2/3. Freeze any character damaged by this minion. Okay, so what you have is a smaller bodied and smaller cost water elemental. Now this is really cool for mages, because what this is going to enable is more of a early game spell damage burst kind of deck. Now you're still going to want to run this in conjunction with the water elementals, because 4 mana for a 3/6 is just really difficult for a lot of people to deal with. Alright, never overlook that 6th life. That's really difficult to deal with. So, but now you could actually coin this guy out turn 1, right? Hit to the face and then double Ice Lance. That's 10 damage right there. That's 1/3 of your opponent's life. That's nothing to shake a stick at, ladies and gentlemen. So you do that, and then, oh, look at this. You still have your 2 Frostbolts. You still have your 2 Fireballs. All right, that's 12 plus 6. That's 18 more damage, which means you only need to come up with 2 hero powers to win. Alright, so yeah, that's pretty freaking impactful. I really like this. I definitely think we're going to see more like a spell aggro mage deck coming out, which, yeah. Also, let's not forget that this is a mech. Mech synergies exist, so cool. Alright, so let's move on to the next and the final card. I'm just warning you all right now, this guy is going to cause a lot of problems. Gazrilla! Somewhere in Tokyo right now, there are people going, oh god, not again. Okay, so Gazrilla, obviously a play off the pop culture Godzilla. So, 7 mana for 6/9. Okay, that kind of seems blah in a way, but then you read its effect. Whenever this minion takes damage, double its attack. Okay, so he could get to a 12. No, no, he can get much higher. For every damage. So if you can do incremental damage, like say with a Wild Pyromancer, he gets to 48. Alright, so let's talk about this. Now, initially, people started screaming, oh god, it's another OTK. Oh god, it's another OTK. Didn't we get enough of this from VO7tron? Why is Hunters getting another OTK? Blah, 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 blah. Trust me, I've been listening to all of these arguments all day. It's mind-numbing. Alright, I'm going to clear this up. Initially, back in CBT, there were a lot of OTKs. We had the Hunter OTK, the original. We had the Warrior Molten Giant charging combo, which used Warsong Commander, which got changed because of it, to burst you for 24 damage. We had Miracle Rogue, or what we now call Miracle Rogue, actually, that could do the same thing. We had Shamans who could do something similar. I mean, there were lots of different OTK scenarios out there. And in all honesty, there are still OTK scenarios available in this game that just people don't use anymore. So, why would Blizzard bring this back, considering they made a statement that OTK is not fun because it's not interactive. It's, you know, your opponent doesn't have a chance to win. So, I mean, they went by and they nerfed a lot of things with the exclusion of Rogue for some reason. But, you know. So why would they bring it back? Well, they did bring it back. You look at the VO7tron, that screams OTK. You look at this, it screams OTK. But the setups for them are much more convoluted. Now, there's going to be this argument. I know there's going to be this argument. Well, what about Call Pet? Alright, so Call Pet. Draw a card. If it's a beast, reduce its mana cost by 4. So, okay, so if you use a Call Pet, and you get this guy, he's now 3 mana. Okay, so if you were to play this, like on the next possible turn, which ironically enough is 3, would your opponent be able to do much against it? Well, yes, they could. Priest could still use Shadow Word Death. Hex exists. You know, there are ways. Silence exists. Yes, there are. So that's not all that great. And in order to get the most value out of this, you actually have to have this down for a turn, and then right before you attack, you're going to have to do some weird kind of like self-damaging thing to it, i.e. Wild Pyromancer combination type deal, in order to get its full value to win. Now this is not completely out of the realm of possibility. In fact, it's a little bit more viable than people think. So, but it does require the setup, and because it requires the setup, you can counter it. Now, you look at the VO7tron, that requires a lot more of a setup, but when you apply it to, say, a rogue, that setup's a lot easier to do because it can seal. So, yeah, do I think this is better than the VO7tron combo? It's different in its own ways. It's better and worse in its own ways. This guy basically says, if you can't deal with me, and my deck is designed to do exactly what most people are saying it's going to do, you're going to suffer for it. Now, I would also like to point out that this card, because of Mad Bomber, is insane. Alright, yes, I'm actually advocating the use of Mad Bomber here. I never thought I'd ever say this. Alright, Mad Bomber plus this guy. Alright, let's, for shits and giggles here, say Mad Bomber does what he normally does. It basically hits your minions all the time. So if you got this guy out, then you play Mad Bomber, all 3 go to him. Congratulations, that's 48 damage that's coming to your face. Now, of course, taunts exist, multiple taunts exist. Defender of Argus, Sunfear Protectors, that's going to be really great for, like, stopping this from actually becoming a problem because, well, let's be honest, most decks only run 2 silences. Yes, Hunters have Hunter's Mark, but you're talking about a lot of card plays just to get out that OTK, and Hunters don't have the greatest of card draw. Alright? So, the likelihood of that actually being an issue, not as much as you would think. So it's a good card, but I don't think it's as broken as like everybody thinks it is. And I just like it. I like any kind of end game potential for a possible control hunter. It's something that control hunters desperately needed. You know, we had almost all the tools except for an end game. Our end game almost entirely consisted of like Ragnaros and or King Crush, which, let's be honest, King Crush is a horrible card in so many ways, and Ragnaros's RNG really destroyed any kind of consistency with the deck. So, but yeah, this is going to give a little bit more consistency of an endgame, but that endgame is easy to predict, easy to counter, and that's exactly what we're going to get out of this. So, is it going to be that impactful? I would say initially, somebody's going to definitely come up with a deck design, Lord knows I already did, that could make this viable, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see how the meta adapts. And once one thing in the meta becomes really strong, really powerful, people make counter decks to it that are able to kind of stop it, but yet still be viable enough in the rest of the meta. So then its functionality dies greatly. Now, one other thing I'd like to point out here, Big Game Hunter can still actually affect this guy. Alright? If you can deal 1 damage to this thing in any way, shape, or form, then you can play Big Game Hunter with it. So you can just do trade, then Big Game Hunter, boom. That's gone. You've neutralized their effect. So it's not all that dangerous, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, so that's all the cards. They're all really, really interesting. I would say this is the best 3-batch we've gotten yet, my personal opinion. And my cat is acting like a crackhead. But yeah, so more cards getting released. We're getting closer to that halfway point, which means we may get a burst of all the cards. When all the cards are released, I guarantee you will see Goblins versus Gnomes coming out within 2 weeks. Guaranteed it. So if we're going by what they did with Naxxramas, they hit halfway, then they lulled for a week, and then they released all the, and then 3 days later we got the set. So it's coming. It's coming. So this is Shiv saying, if you like these videos, please like, subscribe, Reddit it, tell your friends, Google Plus it, tweet it out, whatever. Till next time, good luck.